Hey guys, I am here with Lucy Milligan Wall, and she's a professional organizer with a whole bunch of expertise in people who live in high rise apartment complexes with little tiny spaces and super busy professionals that have kind of collected some clutter and disorganization and maybe hoarding and things like that. So, we're going to have a really awesome conversation today, and I'm super excited that she's joining us. And please help me welcome Lucy Wall.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you started your business, LMW Edits, back in what, 2014?
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about how you started the business and then its journey and where you are now.
Yeah. The first client I ever had was actually a woman I met on a trip. And I was just sort of like talking about what I wanted to do. And she said, when we get home, call me. I'll hire you. I'll be your first client. There are always stories like that in small business, right? Like you need someone to believe in you, to be the first one.
Mhm.
And this woman was the first one for me. And that started the whole thing. But starting a small business is tough. And the first couple of years, I had some clients here and there. And then when I really started to take it seriously and dive in and spend a lot more energy on the business, that's when it really started to explode. And so now it's me. I have another organizer on my team, and I also have a social media manager that I work with as well.
Yay. I love to watch people that are progressive that are really killing it in business. And I think you're a real good example of that. You just mentioned something that's really interesting. You said there was somebody who believed in you
Hmm.
and that we all need someone to believe in us.
Yes.
What does that belief have to do with us getting started on our clutter journey?
I'm so glad you put that question that way because one of my core beliefs about home organization is that if you've never experienced an organized space on the daily, you don't necessarily know that it's possible for you. Right? I hear so many people say to me, "Well, I'm just not an organized person." And I have to tell you, organizing is not a personality trait. Like you may prefer certain types of aesthetics, but everyone can learn the skills that it takes to get organized. It's just a matter of doing it. But we have this weird sort of perception in our culture that you're either an organized person or you're not. And that prevents us from doing something about it. And so, part of my role as a professional organizer with my clients is to believe in them, to believe in the possibility for their home, and to encourage them to put in the work to get there.
Awesome. I love that answer. Now I got a trick question for you. What is the difference between someone believing in you and you giving yourself permission to get rid of some of your stuff?
Ooh. Sometimes you need one first and then the other. I find myself in the position of saying, "What if I gave you permission? Would that be okay?" And the client going, "Oh, I don't know." That's part of the process is teaching the client to think about how they really want their life to be as opposed to how they think their life should be. Because in our spaces, we have this idea of this is what a home is supposed to look like. And I don't think that's necessarily relevant. And when I'm working with a client, I'm working on what do they need from their space? What do they need to store? How do they need access? Every project is different, right? Because it's for that specific person. So letting go of the should, giving yourself permission to customize your space to your own needs, that can be really powerful.
Well, and speaking of powerful, you just said something that really caught my attention where you said, sometimes I see things that people need and it may not be what they know they need.
Hmm.
And so my question is, if you live in a cluttered space and maybe a trip hazard and you don't know that there's a better way to live, how do you know that there's a better way to live if you don't know there is?
I think it's a really tough question to answer. And I think it comes back to what I always say is my biggest indicator of success with a client. The biggest indicator that I will have success with a client is if they are willing to try something different, if they're willing to change. It doesn't have to be a huge change, it doesn't have to be an overnight change. But if they're willing to try just one little thing in a different way, like if I say, "Hey, why don't we put the recycle bin over here?" And they say, "Okay, I'll try that." That is the beginning of something. And so there's a lot of times I get people talking to me like, "Oh, my friend really needs you," or "My relative really needs you," or "My mom really needs you." And my response is always, when they're ready to make change, I would love to help. But I can't do anything unless somebody is willing to adjust how they live in their homes. It's such an important factor that it's literally a question on my intake form. Because if you're not willing to
Mhm.
change, I can't help you.
What if somebody's willing to change, but they have absolutely no idea where to start?
That is much easier to deal with because it's a little bit at a time, right? It's that classic question, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so you just take a little tiny area and look at it. And once you work your way through that, then that says, "Oh, I know how to do this. I can figure this out." And then do a little more and a little more. Even when I'm working with a client, I don't look at the whole room being like, "We're doing all this in a day." I look at like, Where do we start? What's the little win we can get that's going to make the client feel like, oh, yeah, I can do this?
I have learned so much today and I've had so much fun. So
Awesome.
I want to thank you guys for showing up and believing in me. Like Lucy said, everybody needs somebody to believe in them. And I appreciate you guys believing in me. And I believe in you guys as well. And I want to remind you that you're not alone in this journey. And if you need help, it's okay to ask for help because that's what all the professionals do. So please don't be ashamed. Don't think twice about it. If you need somebody like Lucy in your life, please give her a call. All right, that's it for today. Have a great week. And thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.